an animal takes up in a crowded shelter and the cost of feeding it while it's housed there and the time it takes to determine who the owner is. Also, being able to microchip shelter animals and provide the service to the public would be a good way to generate extra revenue to the shelter. Microchips can be purchased in bulk at a low price and charged at the higher going rate for the service of placing them. I talked to Dawn quite a while ago about wanting to promote microchipping, and I'm willing to donate the cost of the first bulk order of 100 to get the program going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more public comment? Any more public comment? Any more public comment? Okay, public comment will be closed. First item on here, future committee structure. As you know, well, maybe you don't know, but the county board is looking at getting some help in maybe restructuring, and from Andy Phelps and Sarah, I don't remember her last name, from the Wisconsin Counties Association. And so that's going to be an ongoing thing. One of the things that has been mentioned already is that we have an awful lot of committees, and a lot of counties that they've worked with, they start out with so many committees and then reduce them down to save time and money and everything else. So one of the things I'm just bringing to your attention, we don't take any action today, but this committee, it has been suggested that this committee be dissolved, and therefore animal shelter would come under emergency services. Again, that's the overall arcing thing of public safety. So in public safety, there's ambulance, there's medical examiner, and the sheriff's department. And then animal shelter could possibly go under there. Nothing's been decided on that yet. This is probably a little ways off, but just to call to your attention that, again, to dissolve committees, or combine committees, I should say. And this, since we're in a transition thing right now, this has already been mentioned to do that. But again, I'm just bringing it to you that this may go under. The only other one, I suppose, would be property because of the building, but I think public safety encompasses with the other three entities, and animals, running in the road, public safety, and all of that. So just a FYI, there may be changes down the road. Right now, we're going to continue as we are. Second item is social media policy. I think you've seen that in things here. Evidently, and Dawn, you can speak more to this, that somebody had posted some stuff. Again, we've been over this quite a few times in our committee and everything, that, you know, if Dawn files something, a citation or anything else, and once she files it, it's in the court system, it's out of her control. She cannot respond to questions about it or anything like that, because if it ends up going to a trial, you cannot prejudice that or anything like that. You just can't say anything more about it. Evidently, someone had posted something on the animal shelter Facebook, and as a response to something, and put people's names and addresses on something that is pending. That cannot happen. That's the district attorney, I don't think, was very pleased with that. And so we have the social media policy, and if you look at, there's actually two. One is the Rusk County Animal Shelter social media policy, and then behind there from chapter 15 is the social media policy from the county. And I guess the questions have arisen is, if I understand right, Dawn, that somebody found out this one post that was on the animal shelter Facebook page, that they, hid it, or made it unavailable because it was in violation of the policy. I guess we've gotta look at these two things. Chapter 15, or the social media policy, that is a county policy, that is quite general and everything. This one that we didn't know about, this Rusk County Animal Shelter social media policy, do you know when that was done or anything, or way back?
No, but, I will say that since I had access to the other manager's, what do you call it? Computer, you know what I'm saying?
Data?
Yeah. I did find it in there, and I also did find this, which is a, volunteer-only shelter media policy from another, organization, which is what our policy is pretty much word for word. This is volunteer only, this has staff and volunteer,
Right,
and this is kind of, what's the word? I don't think it really goes to our Facebook page. I think this is more for, yes, staff and volunteers not posting animals on their personal stuff. Because if you read this, it tells you what to do, but it says you cannot post animals that are not for adoption, unless they're not available, rescue or transfer. So what this shelter social media policy is basically saying is the Rusk County Animal Shelter cannot post anything on their Facebook page unless it's up for adoption,
yeah,
which makes absolutely no sense.
well, that, I think, the,
I mean, as long as we would never
we can
post
change
like
that.
dead animals, nobody ever does that, but every single rescue shelter has a Facebook page and they post everything. I
Well-
mean, you name it, you can look at any of them, and some of them actually are, they put on there, this has,
I think if you look at
explicit photos or
the
whatever.
two things that are different, I mean, I think the county one covers everything and, pretty broad, but not specifically about, animal shelter. But I think if you look at this Rusk County Animal Social Media Policy, under the first bullet point, with prior permission, post links and positive comments about adoptive that. Okay, and then the last, then under do not, on the first one, post photos or videos of animal shelters that are not available for adoption, rescue, or transfer. I think that could be amended or
Yeah, cause then
deleted.
cause basically that states that you can't post lost and found, you
Right.
can't post, animals that are looking for rehoming, impounded, anything, and state law does require, that animals that are found are published. Now, it doesn't say photo, it says description, however, we all know that my description of an animal might be completely different than someone who owns it, because people get their colors, they may say brown and white, I may call it tan and white, or red and white. And then you're not gonna, you're gonna have a hard time finding owners, I mean, pictures speak 1,000 words, as long as it's not, something that's completely, horrific, I would never post something like that, but,
Well, and then the last, so that bullet point under do not, and then the very last one, post photos, videos, injured, didn't, when you had some sick animals, you put something on there to try and get food, donations of food?
well, yeah, that's what most shelters do, if they get an influx of animals, they will post photos, and then they will ask for help, taking care of them, and things
Right.
like that. If you don't do
Donations.
that, then people also, it brings an awareness to the community that these things are going on, and then it also compels people to, help and donate to take care of those animals.
I see that all the time. I follow several adoption sites and,
They
if
post.
they've taken an animal that's injured and that they show the injury and they say,
Yeah.
we need help with, we
Right.
desperately need help because.
Yeah.
Contributions
They
of
usually
food
show a
or
lot of
whatever.
stuff, they don't,
Yeah,
they just
so-
don't normally show like deceased animals.
Those
Those
are-
Oh, well,
those are
yeah,
never-
yeah.
But they
But-
show animals that are injured or hurt, and, when they kind of go into detail, that they need vet, money for.
And they
for
post
vets
if they've
to
taken
take care
an
of
influx,
the
yep.
animals and try to get them to a point where they can get adopted again.
And we have been doing that, right? I mean, we did that
I've been
for,
doing this since I got here, so I've been in
Yeah,
violation for 2 years.
so, well,
So that probably needs to be,
so under do not, the first bullet point and the last bullet point.
I mean, this
probably
is
need to
fine
be
for
refined.
for volunteers that, or staff not to do these things on their own time, on their own social media, and this is absolutely good, but for the staff to post on our Facebook page, this is not. Some of this do not is not gonna work.
It's not it.
It's not, yeah, it's
Well,
not.
I think this is for, well, it's for
It says staff and
volunteers and
volunteers.
staff, yeah, it's for both. And I'm assuming that this is more directed toward, again, like the,
Personal social media and.
well, and also the Facebook page, I mean, we just can't have people slopping in. So,
Well, no, and volunteers don't post on our Facebook page, it's usually either, it's staff
Staff.
only, and what they post has to be approved by me.
right, right, so this also directs to that, I think. And so, what is your feeling about under do not, the first bullet point and the last bullet point? Do you want to eliminate that or modify it? Because I think this specifically is for the animal shelter, as chapter 15 social media policy is basically for the whole county and everything,
Yeah.
it's a broad umbrella, where this zeroes in more, okay, but the animal shelter is different, we have.
And I
this.
think I don't know if we're the only one that has a Facebook page, but I don't think we're one of them, like, there's some other county stuff that has Facebook, but,
Yeah, like, public health does.
they have a Facebook.
Okay, yeah. So, you've read this and everything, is there any other thing in here that you think should be changed? I'm just questioning, under the do nots, the first and the last bullet points, because do not post photos or videos of shelters that are not available for adoption, rescue, or transfer. Maybe just eliminate that one?
I mean, you can, yeah, I mean.
And then the last one, do not post photos or videos of injured or sick animals. Again, instead of, just delete them, maybe put under well, they already talk about.
But in the first sentence of this, it does say volunteers and staff, so I'm
Right.
wondering, do we need to have some kind of separation on the do's and don'ts, so that
Cause volunteers are not gonna be posting anything on our Facebook
volunteers
page.
should not be,
Posting
right,
on our Facebook page or their
Right.
or
personal.
their personal page, so.
So
like,
it kinda doesn't divide it out, really, it's kind of
That's what
too broad,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we actually need to maybe revise this and actually make a separate policy for staff. And then another one for volunteers.
But-
That would, one that's aimed directly at staff and the other one that's aimed at volunteers. That way, the volunteers will have a very clear understanding that, they're not doing this. That's only staff. It's only staff themselves.
Cause I think staff would kind of fall under the county social media policy, but then you do have to have something that, like, if I didn't say it's really sick animal came in or something that was like pretty gruesome and someone posted that, and I did, maybe it was a little too, like, the staff should know that before they post something like that, they need
Well, I mean,
permission,
staff,
you know what I
Right.
mean?
it should say staff with, with the pre-approval of the shelter manager.
Well, that's under the first bullet of do, prior permission. I mean, we can make this more specific.
That's what I think it's very general, instead of everybody, so.
And it is from a volunteer only.
Right.
I mean, you can look at, I mean, this is another animal shelter volunteer social media policy, this does not mention staff
okay, do we want to rework this one? I mean, obviously, we're not gonna change chapter 15 social media policy, which is the county.
Right.
We're not gonna, and that does talk about, well, employees, basically, not necessarily volunteers, but it does talk about, employees, even if they're on their own time, on their own personal website or, media thing, they must, adhere to this. So do we wanna redo this West County Animal Shelter social media policy then? You wanna make it into two, or just make it like one paragraph?
We could probably just make it into one and just basically say.
Have one paragraph for
Have
this?
this directed at staff only, and then in the don'ts say, say volunteers will not post anything on the animal website or their personal website. That would,
You mean the photos?
anything, photos or whatever.
Or comments?
Or comments, disparaging
Because
comments.
they're talking about,
Obscene, defamatory information.
right,
Yeah, cause all of this, these do nots would definitely all apply to volunteers. Those are all perfectly, just doesn't, the do nots don't, some of them obviously have the photos.
right, but the staff could post.
But the staff can post with permission, animals that are impounded, like lost, found.
That's why that's gotta be reworded.
With
Yeah.
shelter management. That should say, so that, they know exactly
Who, yeah,
whose permission they need.
So so do not, but do not is also, the do not is mainly for volunteers. Well, but also for.
there are, you could put do not volunteers and do not staff. And then these four in the middle apply to.
But but staff too should not be posting
Right.
negative stuff on their own
Right,
personal stuff
so-
or anything
Well,
like
that's
that.
what
You could put do not, and then you have staff, and then these bulletins here,
Like those four in the middle.
in the middle, yeah, you can't have staff doing that.
And this isn't in the
And then
employee
the
part
policy.
for chapter 15 one.
Volunteers.
This is the policy. And this is what you do on your own.
Say that
The
again.
shelter made it up.
Yeah, you can look here.
You know, when you are logging or doing something,
So,
and
all
you
of this
will
would apply to
share our
volunteers,
stuff, but
these
you're allowed
four
to
would apply to staff.
share.
Okay, also,
You already have with prior permission due from the shelter manager post. And this is comments, and you can also put, you can put staff, you can put that they cannot post these things without permission. Like, do not post this without permission from the manager. It just needs to be reworded a little bit.
right,
You want me to reword it and bring it back next time?
great. Why not do that? Because again, I think we need one that's more zeroed in on the animal shelter rather than just the general one. And we're not gonna change the general one, the county one. But this one, and I think most of this other stuff in here is good. I think, yeah, if you'd like to reword that,
I can bring it back.
because you do need to post
Yeah.
lost animals, all of that. And, instead of saying, no, you cannot post, not available for adoption, rescue, or transfer, well, no, that's not true. But staff should not be, or volunteers. Okay, any further comments on that? Okay, so you'll bring that back next month? Then we have chipping of animals, or Joanne spoke on microchipping. I think, yeah, we had talked a little bit about that, mentioned it with you. I think, this year, this year we increased doggy fees. Last year, we, increased, some of the other charges, the adoption charges and stuff like that. So, my question to Dawn was, well, if we chip, some shelters I know chip everything before it's released. Some, it's optional, do you want your animals shipped or not? And then, you know, if we added on to the adoption fees, that could discourage some things. But if it's made optional or something, or have a day, you know, once a quarter or something, people bring it in, they get charged extra for it and have a chipping day, whatever. Go ahead and talk to
Yeah,
that.
so, we have a couple different options of microchipping, so yes, Joanne said, she would take the first bulk. So it's basically, you have different options, they come in boxes of 100. They have like a premium, a basic, and then just a random, like, just chip. So the basic one is probably what I'm gonna go with, because that one allows the animal shelter to register those people, so that if the animal does come in, we will find the owner. If you do just the basic with nothing, and we get an animal, it comes back to us and says we're the ones who put it in, and if they adopted it from us, it'll tell us who got it microchipped, but it won't go to like the company, because it's not registered, so you have to pay a little extra, it's not a ton extra. So that's probably the easiest one to do, so at least we have owner information that is in that microchip company's, database.
So if you microchip, then in effect, it's uploaded to the company.
It's uploaded to the company.
So that would be if, your tomcat got picked up, ran
Yep.
away and got picked up in Chippewa County
Mhm.
and was microchipped, they would scan it there or whatever.
Yep.
And know it without having to bring it back here, or, I mean,
Right.
if the records would be, and that's the basic plus.
It's basically, yeah, basic plus, and then there's just one where if the animal's found, if you scan it, all the microchip company would be able to tell you is who put the chip in.
Okay.
And those are,
You.
meaning us or another organization. So you really wanna be able to upload that information into the database of the chip company, so that they can say, this is the owner. I mean, we'll know who the owner is in our system if we're doing the microchips, but if it comes from somewhere else, or if another animal shelter finds it, and what if we adopted that pet out and, you know, people they give their animals away and don't tell us sometimes, well, now they're not gonna know who that owner is if that animal was given away, so. But,
Can you chip?
Yeah.
So the basic plus, what is the cost?
it's $4.60 to $5 something per chip.
Per chip?
Yeah, so it's not a ton, but you have to buy them in bulk, so there's 100 in a box.
Gotcha.
So that's like $500, $600 a box, depending on what you get. But, when you chip them, most animal shelters charge anywhere between, I wanna say, $20 and $30 for a microchip. Most veterinary clinics, I wanna say, charge anywhere from 35 to 40 something for a microchip. It all depends on what company you get them from and, you know, what you do.
So you pay a fee, but then when you actually chip, you charge.
We're gonna charge, so we are making,
So
we're
Making
gonna make
money.
that up, yes.
Make that up.
So, what I thought right now, we probably don't, cause when you have 70+ animals, like, all year long, that's gonna be a lot of money to microchip all of our animals, it's gonna be a ton. So what I thought was, starting out is, we will offer microchipping, so if they adopt a cat for $75 and we offer a microchip and say we charge $20 for it or 25, that's gonna be added on, it's gonna have to go in a separate, I don't know how we'll do it if we use that as a donation or if we use that as an income. So that's
Yeah.
something that's gonna have to be
No income.
an income.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then whatever we make off of those microchips, we will have enough money to buy, you know, another box. We're not gonna be going in the negative. But to do everybody at this point, but maybe eventually we could do everybody. But right now that's, you know, a lot. And then we could have, like you said, every quarter or, you know, 3-4 times a year, have a microchip clinic where people could come to the shelter and we will just microchip their pets, that they didn't adopt from us, or, so. But then it would be an
You still
income.
have that fee.
They would still have that fee, yep. And then we chip it, and then we would, upload them all in our system, even whether they adopted the animal from us or not, cause then at least we have them.
And then that goes
So
to
if
the.
Yeah, we'll upload it in our system, and then they give you a thing to upload it in the company's system. So that way, if it comes into us, we have it in our system, if it goes somewhere else, it'll get scanned, and the company will have it in their system. And then it's up to the owner to update that every year, or, you know,
revenue, and
Yeah.
as you know, we need.
And maybe eventually if we get enough, we could add it, do it for everybody, but there are people that are a little bit weirded out by microchipping too, so it's not. But if you do everybody, they don't really have choice.
And you're only.
So eventually,
And you're only doing animals.
so eventually it would be nice to have everybody done right off the bat, but, you know, because of all the,
Yeah.
I think we might have to wait on that a little bit.
Well, just move
But
into
it would be
it.
nice to offer it, cause it is easy if the animal has a microchip. Now, we've had several animals that have been microchipped that the chips have gone nowhere, those owners gave those animals away and they never updated it, things like that, so. Then we have to go in there and put it under our name and.
Well, how do you, if they don't, that could be a problem if they give the animal away or something else.
You can
and
still
don't-
find them. You can still find them through the microchip, cause they, most of them are registered, so we will find them, but then you call them, oh, I gave that to so-and-so 5 years ago. That person never, the person that gave the animal away never told the microchip company that they gave it away and to whom, so that it doesn't register to whoever has it.
Now, would they, if, say they gave it away, would they notify you or the microchip company?
If, they have to notify the microchip company,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
they can
not your
notify us, they can notify us too if they want to,
Right,
but,
but the responsibility is theirs.
yeah.
And that chip counter, I mean, there is, I mean, it's information only, right? It's not like a GPS.
No. It's just to let you know who owns that, yeah.
And where does it go in the ear?
Between the shoulder blades.
Between the shoulder.
In the ear, oh my god, he meant for the microchip in a cat's ear. Not a cow. Yeah, it goes between the shoulder blades, sub-Q.
Do those move when they, I've read some.
They can move,
things
yes,
that
yep.
They sometimes do.
You have to scan, when you scan an animal, you have to scan all of its back, its chest, its legs. We found them in like a rear leg before. They just kind of migrate, not all the time, but they can migrate to the side, so you actually are supposed to scan the whole entire animal.
Is, is that migration normal, or does that mean that they didn't put the chip in right to begin with?
No, it will go sub-Q, so you have the possibility that it's gonna move. Most of them don't, but it's just. The only way to put them in wrong is to not pinch the skin and then the microchip will fall out. I've seen that
How
happen
big is
before.
it?
Like a piece of rice.
That's it?
It's very small.
It's a little cylinder, it's small. They
Okay,
have mini ones too that are a little bit smaller.
okay, Nancy?
I was just wondering if people's cats, animals came in, strays, would they be offered to be able to microchip them to them if
Yeah, I
possible?
would, anybody that wants a microchip could get one, yeah, and they would have to pay for it, absolutely.
So I think it's a good way to, you know, be able to track animals and, you know, especially strays or things like that. It's another revenue source for the shelter, that we need. And I think it's, more and more people are doing that. Okay, Joanne?
If you wanted to move more towards microchipping a lot of the animals at the shelter, just from a little discussion here, we could kind of try to do fundraiser, and that way they wouldn't have to pay extra. I mean, if you wanna get revenue, fine, but if you're trying to get those animals out and have them microchipped, we could raise so much money, and they could get those microchipped before they leave too. So that's a possibility as far as just getting the job done.
Right.
It's so low cost.
Yeah.
Really, and honestly, you're saving money, cause if their animal accidentally got away,
Mhm.
by the time they see they're at the shelter, it might be 4 days later, you've been paying
Right.
expenses for keeping that animal. It will cost you less to get them
If you
back
have
to
it
the
right
owners
away,
of
yep.
their chip, absolutely.
Erin?
Well, my suggestion is charge $5 on every animal that goes out the door right now to cover the microchip, and offer, for $20, offer the community to microchip their animals that they already own. And just, you know, whatever process you have to go through to approve an extra $4 or $5 to cover the microchip. I think it's imperative that every animal goes out the shelter with a microchip.
Absolutely.
I think in the long run, there is no cost that would make it seem not a good idea, and we're talking $4 those animals come back in, you have to feed them, it's more than $4 to feed them by the time you're giving them back to somebody. So I think every animal should go out, and if we need to fundraise, have to fundraise, but I think an extra $4 or $5 could be easily approved to charge on an animal adoption, if necessary.
Well, we could, I wonder what you could do if someone adopted the animal for $75 and we microchip it, we'd have to charge them 80, say, if you're only paying $4.60 for the microchip. And I'm wondering if that extra $5, I don't know if we can, cause we have to vote on increasing the fees, right? And we're a little late for that now, are we?
Well, this is something new.
This wouldn't be adoption fees, this would be add-on.
But if you take the that's what I'm saying is if you put the adoption fee in the computer at $75, then you have this extra $5 that could go into, so you charge people that adopt $5, say, for microchips. Other people that didn't adopt from us or maybe adopted from us years ago, we would charge them 20 or 25, whatever the fee is. But that $5 could still go into that income for those microchips. Does that make
Right.
sense?
All microchip charges would go.
So what we would make it mandatory that there's an extra $5, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would give them a
Yeah.
choice, cause some people would say no.
Right.
Except
It would
that
just have to be broken down somehow. I don't know if that makes it more confusing or.
I just, I hate to, if somebody is anti-chipping, I hate for them not to adopt a cat or a dog, because we're saying, well, you have to have a microchip before it can leave you. I'd rather have the animal adopted,
I haven't come across, I know there are people, I haven't come across too many though. I mean, if they're anti-chip, then they don't have to register, they don't have to, it's not
Yeah,
gonna do
but-
anything to them, but I guess,
Right, but I'm just thinking, we want to get the animals adopted.
Right.
And if that's a hindrance to somebody who's very anti-chipping, I suppose you can always make an exception case by case too. So do you wanna, double verify what these costs are for chips or
alright, I know what they cost.
it's $4.60 or
If I
$5?
get the basic one, one is $4.60, one is 5 something, and one is 7 something.
So you wanna do
So
the
I'm
middle
gonna do the
one,
middle one.
5 something?
I think it's 4 or 5, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's no more than $5 for the chick. So, but I can give you the numbers and I can give you the fees.
Yeah, because then, we would have to add that on and everything, we'd wanna be,
So you either raise your adoption fees by, depending on what chip I get, which is probably gonna be the one that's under $5, by $5, which would be, dogs would be 105 and cats would be 80. So if you do it that way, then everybody gets microchip.
yeah, then we're probably,
Or we keep the fees the same and I just say, if you adopt an animal from us and it's microchipped, you have to pay the $5.
I'm just saying because
It's
otherwise,
80, but we're not saying it's 80. Does that make sense?
yeah, we're going to have to, that'll have to be approved by the board if we increase, the fees.
If you don't increase the fees and you just add on that $5, it'd be like someone coming and getting a dog tag.
Well, unless we say it's part of the fee, then I think we're gonna have to get board approval, because they had to approve
We had to
raising
approve our
dog
other increase.
licenses and, the other stuff. We can check into that too, but let's think about that because everybody.
But I can get the microchips and start the ball rolling at least, we don't have to.
You can do it, ask people if they want it, now, and then, move into changing the policy.
And I could for people, that are adopting from, us, just charge a $5 microchip fee. And I can't imagine anybody would say no to that.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are not gonna say no to that. And then if we make it mandatory that everybody leaves with a microchip, then you need to increase the fees, I think. Cause then.
Yeah,
Cause then
because
if I'm only
there's no
saying
choice.
$5 and they can say no, they may not want their, but that would have to be
Well, especially with the new adoption, sometimes the animals do leak it out and then they
Yeah.
leave off.
Yeah.
You know, once they're caught, then bacteria moves in.
Yeah. No, it's a good idea. They should all be microchipped before they leave.
I agree.
It's just a matter of
Joanne?
the money.
It might be of value to, I'd even be willing, call area, shelters and ask, are they microchipping?
Most of them do.
All of them,
Most
and
of
then
them
you
do.
could compare and say, are we gonna be different, are we gonna let, you know, that person that doesn't want to be microchipped can't go to those places either,
Yeah.
so, you know.
And I
are we-
can't, there's not,
I know adoption.
I've never
cases,
had
they're
somebody-
all chipped.
yeah,
Yes.
most, I would
Oh,
say
I think
probably
that's
95% of them,
right.
and that's,
Absolutely.
I'm guessing, but yeah, they're all microchipped.
All rescues
Cause
do
I
as well.
got a rescue,
Mhm.
and he was chipped,
Yeah.
and they chip all their animals.
So we just have to figure out how to either
Whether we have to
either
change
increase the
some
fees
other
by
stuff,
$5
right,
or I just,
or as an add-on.
or I say the cat's now $80 and you take the 75 for the adoption fee and then 5 goes into the microchip.
Right.
Whatever. Cause I can do that
think
too.
it's important to keep it separate.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
so
we can
that
keep it, you don't have to add it in, but
You can apply
if they-
that and
yeah.
all the money you get from that to
Mhm.
the chip fund.
it'd be like getting on tag for your dogs now. They pay $100 for the dog, if they get a dog tag, the ones that we make, then they pay an extra $7.50, so it's the same thing. But we're basically gonna just microchip them
So
in that
instead of a
$5 fee,
physical tag, an electronic tag.
basically, yes. And we do have a category for tags, in my deposit, the deposit summary. I wonder if we can add, I don't know if we can add microchipping to that, or is that gonna be difficult? Cause then don't I have to do tax or not? If it's an income, is there a tax involved in that?
Well, is there a tax on the adoption fee? Then there should be.
Oh, yes, there is, yes, there is. So then we have to figure, because I do have a line item for our, those tags, that engraved tags, so there's a line item there. So we might have to put another deposit line item for, so it would either be $5 or it would be 25.
Well, I think this is something we should look into and try and get going.
Cause I can order the microchips and I can at least start offering it for people that want it and then kind of take the ball rolling for the rest of it.
I'll entertain a motion for, microchipping.
So so in the motion, then do you want to include, like, say, it's $5 for people that come and adopt a new animal?
I wouldn't do the price yet until I know, cause I'm gonna, the money sheet that I have is from last year, so I'm gonna call her and make sure the fees and get actual.
We might have to be charging $10.
Well, what I'm saying is that you wanna have in the motion, say, like, once we know the fees, say
Mhm.
it's $5 if you
Adopt.
adopt, and then if you come in to have the animal chip, it's 25 or whatever we decide. We're gonna have that in the motion,
I think maybe for right now that we
we just have.
We have-
motion section, we
have-
price guidelines set up.
have a motion to, look into more of the policy and to, chipping animals, something in general, so that she can proceed forward getting more
Yeah, cause I can
information.
order it and then, once I order it, then I'll know exactly what all the costs are and then, go from there.
And we've gotta check out some, whether
And
that's
if you want to get that ordered, and then at the next meeting, once you know the definite
Yeah, then I'll have a definite cost and,
discuss.
cause I'm gonna ask,
We can make it,
Do you want a motion to allow Dawn to go ahead and order some then, or is that not necessary?
well, I think that we will, chip animals, the motion could say something about, the committee is recommending chipping, animal shelter, animals, or, well, no, not just animal shelter, but the committee is recommending chipping animals and, proceed with getting the chips. The fees, I think we gotta wait on, because we don't know.
No, we don't know that yet, so.
Or do you not want anything and just put this on the agenda for next?
Let's put it on the agenda for next month.
And then that way I can get them, I can order them,
We can get an idea.
That way our motion can be specific.
yeah, I can order them and then I'll know exactly what they're gonna cost and exactly what it entails, cause I'm gonna ask her when I order what the best bang for our buck is, like what do most shelters get, and I'm gonna probably guess it's that middle one. So.
Yeah.
Either way, they're fairly cheap individually if you get them in bulk, so.
And then Dawn can write that back to the next meeting. And we can motion.
Plus we can check to see, is it better to add it into the fees, and that has to get approved by the board, or if this is an add-on, or whatever. Okay, anything more on that? Okay, and then I just have on here options for building remodeling, we just leave it on there. I don't think there's been any change unless anybody has anything further on that at this point. Just that the little critters are gonna have to be kept warm come Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, when it's below zero all day long, for highs and lows. Okay, let's move on to the monthly animal shelter report and humane officer report.
I didn't print anything because I didn't have time, so you'll all have to write it down. Alright, so we have, 52 animals total. One of those is a dog in foster. There's 9 dogs in the shelter. There's 42 cats and kittens in the shelter. We have done 17 adoptions since the last meeting. And this year, beginning this year, I have, what, today's the 16 days, we got 3 rabies quarantines already, 2 new animal complaints, after, 5 warning letters, 1 citation. One of those complaints is open. Also, the next meeting, I will have the end of the year stuff. I'm not quite done with it. I'll have the vouchers, and then everything else, what we took in, what was adopted for the year.
How is the voucher system working? Pretty good?
Good. Yeah, so there are still, I know you guys have your invoices for December.
Yep.
Usually I get the voucher bill from Ladysmith back like December 31st, it's the last day of the year, so those are entered, but they're not on this bill, and there's probably 50 plus invoices that I had to enter in. And those are all vouchers.
So that means that they have been seen yet, and you owe.
Those are paid, those are vouchers that are already spayed neutered last year.
That were done.
That were done. Yeah. But I had to scan all 50 plus.
Are people pretty receptive to that?
Oh yeah, people call, I've already given probably 15 out this year already. So, it's, I mean, if you did, 50 plus vouchers, and majority of them are cats, but there's still a lot of dogs in there, you figure any of those animals could have up to 2, dogs have a lot more, up to 13 puppies, cats can have up to 6 or 7, times that by, you've stopped thousands and thousands of accidental animals from being born, just by doing, 50 some, it's more than 50, but I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
Well, and again, this is all out of the spay and neuter fund.
Yep.
And, the fund, and I mean, I think going back to that too, I think maybe this year, 2025, we've talked about this before, when you transport animals, say to Neelsville or wherever to be spayed neutered, to like record the mileage, how many miles there and back, and come up with a mileage thing, and I think at least the cost of the mileage should be charged to the spay neuter fund, because that is part of spay neutering them. And that would reduce fall you'll see and hear in our auto thing, but but they would need, you know, the date, and then, well, it's the same place all the time,
Yeah,
you know,
it's the
if
same
if
mileage,
it's
yeah.
a standard 75 miles, whatever it is, you know, times whatever rate, you know, come up with, and then I think that should get charged to, or transferred to, you know, the Spain River Fund. I think they'll let last year's go at this point, but, that would relieve pressure on the operations, everything, that everybody kind of agree that, you know, the cost of getting them down there, or, I mean, like a mileage times a certain rate, should get charged to the Spain River Fund. Okay, what else do you have for us?
We have, Tractor Supply again, January 25th, right?
Yes.
That will be posted on our Facebook page when we get time to do it. We're a little behind schedule. The bill for those vouchers was, I think $3,500 from Lady Smith. That's what all those vouchers total for the year.
They just bill you once a year.
They bill me at the end of every year, yes, with all the vouchers. Lady Vet bills me as they go. So, those have been paid for, those are already spent in there. I think there's a couple waiting on this bill, I don't know. No, I think that's all I have for now.
Well, with the Tractor Supply, again, you wanna tell them meet and greet?
Oh, yeah, meet and greet, what time is it? I should've brought the flyer.
12 to 2 again.
What is the time?
Noon to 2, January
Okay.
25th.
At Tractor Supply.
Yep.
Okay.
And how much, when you had the first one, how many animals were adopted out of that? About the two dogs and some kittens?
I think like 7 maybe?
Altogether, yeah.
So this time we do have 2 little puppies, that won't be, they'll have a lot of fun, they're not gonna be stressed out or anything like that, so. We haven't decided about cats yet, but usually puppies and kittens don't get all stressed out, going to there, and they have like an actual like, kinda, in the back, it's kinda quiet, so there's not a ton of like stress going on, but.
Are they giving a discount on?
Not this time, I guess, no.
They had already met their markdown budget for the month,
Okay.
but
Okay,
when
well,
they
that's fine.
open it up again, we'll be able to do it again.
No, this is really great that they agreed to, you know, host this
Yeah.
and everything, and it's good publicity for us, so spread the word. January 25th, noon to 2 at Tractor Supply. Okay, anything else that's?
No, I'll have the rest of my, like I said, end of the year stuff.
Okay,
Next.
let's move on to budget review. Again, this, as you know, it takes a while for the budget to get closed. This is 12 months, but again, there's a lot of stuff in here that they have to end up transferring various costs, that are shared and everything. So again, just looking down here, okay, overtime help, we're over on salaries for the part-time help. Workers' comp, again, we don't have a charge for that yet, it would be roughly that. Contracted services, we're way under. Utilities, we're doing good, a little bit over on postage and duplicating. Membership services, the biggest one would be 348 animal supplies. Anything noteworthy on that? Well, no, food is up on.
Well, that would be, veterinary supplies, other, supplies.
Okay, and then you can see 356, that's about 1,800 over on auto and that, and again, we can transfer some of that cost, you know, to spay neuter. The other ones, again, we haven't gotten the maintenance transfer that's budgeted for 7,000. page, well, one positive thing is, shelter receipts, we had budgeted 10, we're at, well, 15,600 say, so we've got 5,000 more in shelter receipts, so that's good, getting that out. And then in donations, for shelter donations for operations, we've got almost 25,000 in, which is great for, again, relieving the pressure on the levy. And again, there's nothing in here for what the city owes, there's nothing in here for the doggy tags. Again, I expect that to be at least 26,000, so, but again, just a reminder, these things come later, once they close out all the books, it takes a month or two to do that, so, stay tuned. Looking at the next one, the building fund, again, for the year, we got in about 1,500 more than we spent. So the building fund carried forward was 15,981 at the end of 2023. So we're adding to that. Again, the only expenditure in that, remember, that was the 6,500 for the animal shelter plans and everything. The rest were just donations. And then for spay neuter, our costs, well, 19,000, we're over by almost $8,000, and then you said there's another 3,500, well, that'll probably be hitting this year. I don't know what they're gonna do, but the donations we got in, again, these things, it's hard to estimate for these things, cause these are separate funds, remember, they do not affect the tax levy. We budgeted spay neuter expense at 12,000, it's roughly 20,000, so it's about $8,000 more. But on the other hand, the donations, we budgeted 9,500, we have over 21,000, so we're 11,000 to the good there. And then we have the aluminum, the good old aluminum cans, and so actually between the two, we've gained, the revenue has exceeded expenditures by $5,000 roughly for the year for that. We started out with 30,000 balance forward, so now we have roughly 35, so that's good to keep it positive. And then the gift fund, again, not too much, the budget stuff, that was if we were going to be adding on a building or something, that, again, remember these budgets are done way in advance. So the only expenditure are the bank fees, and I think that's the PayPal charges when people donate, and then that 80/22, we already know about that, that was transferred, we approved that, for, I can't remember, that was the beds or whatever. And then we got in, 3,500 roughly, so basically, we've gained 2,500, and the beginning balance was 82,000 at the beginning of the year. So, and again, remember, the gift fund is only for special projects and needs. It's not for normal operating or anything like that. And next year, Dawn will have to talk. What you see here, these columns, you've got budget, year to date, over, under. Then there's really two more columns that we don't see on here. That estimate to do the rest of the year. They're going to require that every month, that it be filled in, not on this one so much as the operating one. So every line item, you're gonna have to say, okay, how much are we estimating for the rest of the year? Because they're really cracking down on budget stuff, and I think that's coming up at the county board meeting. And
So, when you say next year, you actually mean
this year, yeah. Cause we were referring to 24 states, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's really two more columns, so you got the budget year to date, and the budget is, well, year to date, and then over, under budget, then you're supposed to estimate how much are you gonna spend for the rest of the year. So if you're in May, okay, what are you spending in the other 7 months, line item by line item? Again, for these items, it doesn't matter, but for the operating things, that's what they're after. And then it'll show over, under, and if you're gonna be way off, they're starting new policies and everything, to try and get a better handle on some of these expenses, instead of coming up at the end of the year and like, well, wait a minute, you were supposed to be monitoring this. So that's going to be something that's gonna be coming forward. Okay, any questions on that? Let's move on.
Carrie, quick question, is the $7,500 from the holiday match in there yet? Cause we almost doubled our goal.
Where did that go?
It
That
was-
went into operations?
General fund is where
The
we're going.
animal donations it went into.
It-
I don't know if it's in there or not,
Okay.
it depends on,
The animal
When-
shelter donations in here are 25,000, so to me, that is up, I don't have my last month's one here.
do I have it?
I didn't bring the folder.
I don't know if I have it, but some stuff.
In operations, it's, second page.
It was, what is this from? It was $10,318? This is from 12/15. I think,
So that,
this is the last meeting, I'm not pretty sure, I think so.
yep,
Okay,
so,
it went up like $12,000.
so it went up 12,000, so I'm
It
assuming
might be in there.
75
Okay,
is in
okay.
there.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, review bills. You've seen the bills, like Dawn said, there's probably 3,500 in the vouchers that aren't in here yet.
From
Any-
December.
Any questions on the bills?
We just send these bills correctly.
No,
It
no,
goes through.
they're just paid, they're probably already paid. We have to prove it, and sign off.
They're already paid.
Yep.
You don't have to do that.
Then it comes out of Dawn's check.
I'll second that.
Okay, the
Not make
motion,
enough money to pay that.
the motion's been made and seconded to approve the bills for the month. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, motion carried. Then fracas report, and we put on here Friends of Rusk County Animal Shelter to make it clear who they are. Any report?
Nothing.
Nothing new on that? Okay, then just one, like I say, just the announcements, quickly. Again, like Dawn said, a week from Saturday is the Tractor Supply thing to meet and greet animals from noon to 2, where you can come in and say you're gonna adopt, you can't actually adopt them there, but you fill out the papers. Also, just a reminder, it's not specifically us, but on the 28th of January, a Tuesday, remember Lasmith Family Restaurant is doing their, I don't wanna call it fundraising, but all proceeds from that day, go to the Ladysmith Fire Department, Police Department, what's the third one? Fire, police. No, I don't think it's ambulance. But, you know, Hemi does this every year, they've done this for about 13 years or whatever, I mean, extremely generous, involved in the community, and we're very thankful for that. So again, just remember, on Tuesday, the 28th of January, all day long, all proceeds, will go to, I know it's Lasmith Fire, Lasmith Police, what's the other one?
Ambulance? Sheriff?
I'm not sure if it goes to the ambulance, and I don't think so.
Sheriff?
Sheriff. What?
Yeah,
Sheriff?
county, like city and fire.
Okay, so it's a very worthwhile project, and again, we thank them for doing this, so just a reminder, you know, go eat that day at Lasmith Family Restaurant on 28th. Outside of that, nothing else, I will adjourn the meeting at 9:00. 9:31. Our next meeting date is February 20th. February 20th.